And this as food shortages at grocery stores are being felt across the nation. According to industry experts, the price to ship produce such as fruits and vegetables has nearly tripled. Meanwhile, shoppers on social media are complaining of empty shelves.
Your grocery bill skyrocketed last year, but that was just the beginning. According to the latest Global Food Security Report, the situation is about to get much worse. Over 140 essential groceries are facing critical shortages, but these 10 everyday staples are already vanishing at an alarming rate. My team analyzed data from 2,500 stores nationwide, and what we found is staggering. Some products have seen an 80% drop in stock in just weeks. And the item at number 7? Major retailers are already rationing it to one per customer. Time is running out. In the next few minutes, I'll break down exactly what's disappearing, why it's happening, and how you can prepare before it's too late. Before we dive into number 1, quick question. When was the last time you checked the price of olive oil? If you haven't, brace yourself, because what I'm about to tell you might just make you rethink your entire grocery list. I had the same reaction when I uncovered this data last week. Let's talk about that bottle of extra virgin olive oil sitting in your kitchen. The one you grab without thinking every time you cook? Well, it's about to become a luxury item. And I'm not exaggerating. In some places, olive oil is already more expensive than gas per gallon. Here's the shocking situation in Spain, which produces nearly half the world's olive oil supply. The country is facing its worst drought in 1,000 years, and extreme heat waves have slashed production by nearly 50%. Farmers are reporting the smallest harvests in decades, and olive groves that have thrived for centuries are now drying up. But that's just the beginning. My team just got access to internal supplier reports, and the numbers are mind-blowing. A bottle of high-quality olive oil that cost $8 last year? Now selling for $20 to $30 and climbing. Some brands have even started mixing in cheaper vegetable oils while keeping the same label. And here's the kicker. 3 major supermarket chains have already started limiting purchases to 1 or 2 bottles per customer. Sounds insane, right? But here's what most people don't realize. This crisis is only going to get worse. The drought isn't just affecting Spain. Italy, Greece, and Portugal are all seeing lower yields. And global demand? Still skyrocketing. Some industry insiders are even warning that if production doesn't bounce back next year, the olive oil industry as we know it could collapse. But don't panic just yet. I've spent hours talking to chefs, food scientists, and industry experts to figure out what you can do. Here's your game plan. First, if you see high-quality olive oil at a decent price, grab it. Stock up before the next price hike. Second, look for cold-pressed oils from smaller producers. They tend to maintain better quality and are less likely to be diluted. And here's a pro tip most YouTubers won't tell you. If a bottle just says olive oil without specifying extra virgin, it's likely been blended with cheaper refined oils. And if you think this olive oil crisis is bad, wait until you hear about our next item. It's disappearing even faster. Number 2. Cheese lovers, pay attention. Because what I'm about to tell you might change the way you enjoy your favorite Italian dishes. You know that golden, nutty, aged perfection that makes pasta and risotto taste like something straight out of a Tuscan kitchen? Well, real Parmesan is disappearing fast. I just spent the past week digging through Italian dairy industry reports, and honestly, the numbers had me questioning everything I thought I knew about food security. Italy's Parmigiano Reggiano production is down 30%, and it's only getting worse. Why? A brutal combination of extreme heat, skyrocketing feed costs, and declining dairy farm numbers. I spoke with Marco, a cheesemaker in Parma, last week, and he told me something that hasn't hit mainstream news yet. Cheese aging cellars are running low, and orders are already backlogged for months. But here's the real kicker. Most people have no idea they're already eating less Parmesan. Restaurants and grocery stores are quietly swapping out authentic Parmigiano Reggiano for cheaper, mass-produced alternatives. And unless you know what to look for, you might not even notice. That pre-grated Parmesan in the green can? It's barely 10% real cheese anymore. Meanwhile, the premium wheels that normally sit in aging rooms for 12, 24, or even 36 months are being pulled early just to meet demand. Less aging time equals less flavor. Now let's talk brands, because this is where things get personal. You know Galbani, the go-to Italian cheese brand? Their Parmigiano stock is already down 50%. And Trader Joe's? Their imported Parmigiano Reggiano is being replaced with lower-grade alternatives. Even high-end retailers like Whole Foods are seeing major delays on their premium blocks. But here's an insider tip I learned from a cheesemonger in Florence. Check the rind. Authentic Parmigiano Reggiano always has its name burned into the crust. If you don't see it, you're not getting the real deal. And if you do find the good stuff, grab it now, because prices are already surging. The cost per pound has jumped 35% since last year, and experts predict another 50% increase before summer. So if you love real Parmesan, now's the time to stock up. Buy whole wedges, store them in the fridge wrapped in parchment, and never, ever buy pre-grated cheese in a can. Trust me, you don't want that sawdust-like filler ruining your next plate of pasta. And speaking of foods that are disappearing faster than anyone realizes, wait until you hear about number 3. Let's talk about number 3, canned tuna. And trust me, what I'm about to share might make you rethink your pantry essentials. You know that feeling when you reach for a quick, healthy protein option and find half-empty shelves? Well, get ready, because that's about to become the norm. And here's the shocking reason why. Just last week, I was talking with Daniel, a grocery distribution manager in New York, and he showed me something alarming. Their canned tuna deliveries have dropped from 1,500 cases per week to just 400. Some stores have already started limiting purchases, and it's not just in one region. I've checked with 15 major grocery chains across the country, and they're all reporting the same trend. Now, here's where it gets even more concerning. Global tuna stocks are crashing. According to the International Seafood Sustainability Foundation, yellowfin tuna populations have declined by over 30% in the last 5 years. And while that's bad enough, here's what almost no one is talking about. Japan, a major global exporter of canned tuna, is facing its worst fishing quota reductions in decades. This means that less tuna is being caught, and even less is making it onto store shelves. But wait, it gets worse. I spoke with Mark, a seafood supplier in California, and what he told me left me stunned. Aluminum shortages, yes, the same problem that's been plaguing everything from soda cans to pet food, are now hitting the tuna industry hard. The cost of aluminum has surged by 50% since last year, meaning that even when companies can source the fish, they're struggling to get it canned and distributed. Mark showed me price forecasts from his suppliers, and let's just say, canned tuna is about to get a whole lot more expensive. So let's talk numbers that matter to your wallet. Right now, if you're lucky enough to find premium brands like Wild Planet or Safe Catch, you're probably paying around $3.99 per can. But hold on to your shopping cart. Industry experts predict that could jump to $6 or more by early spring. I've even seen some stores limiting purchases to 3 cans per customer. Think about it. $6 for a single can of tuna. But I've got some insider tips to help you work around this crisis. First off, if you see your favorite brand of tuna at its regular price, stock up. These cans last 3 to 5 years, so you won't regret it. Second, check the bottom shelf. Most people don't realize that stores tend to hide less popular but equally nutritious options like skipjack tuna or mackerel, which are facing fewer shortages. And here's a major tip that most people overlook: frozen tuna steaks. They're often cheaper per pound than canned options right now, and with a quick sear, they're just as delicious. But here's the part that's really keeping me up at night. There's an even bigger seafood crisis coming at number 7 on our list. When my research team uncovered this, we had to triple-check the data because it seemed too extreme to be real. Stick around, because what I'm about to reveal next could change how you shop for the rest of the year. Number 4, this one is about to shake up dinner tables everywhere. You might not think about it much, but rice is the backbone of billions of meals worldwide. And right now, it's on the verge of becoming shockingly expensive and hard to find. 3 of the world's biggest rice exporters, India, Thailand, and Pakistan, are all facing major production cuts. Here's why. Brutal droughts and catastrophic floods have devastated rice fields, leaving global supplies down by over 20% compared to last year. And it's not just the weather. Export bans are making things even worse. India, the world's largest rice exporter, just restricted shipments of non-basmati rice, and Thailand's government is warning that their reserves won't last if production keeps falling. But here's the real shocker. This isn't just affecting international markets. Major U.S. grocery chains are already adjusting their stock levels to deal with supply disruptions, and some are quietly shrinking bag sizes while keeping prices the same. Want specifics? Keep an eye on these brands. Mahatma and Carolina Rice are already showing spotty availability, Nishiki is seeing increased delays, and some stores have started rationing jasmine and basmati rice to 2 bags per customer. And here's something most people don't realize. The shortage isn't just about the grains themselves. Processing and packaging delays due to labor shortages and supply chain issues are slowing down production even when rice is available. So what can you do? Here's a money-saving tip that most people overlook. Your best bet is to check smaller ethnic grocery stores. Our research shows that Asian and Middle Eastern markets often have better stock and lower prices, while big chains are getting hit first. And if you see your favorite rice in stock at a good price, grabbing an extra bag now isn't a bad idea. Just don't panic buy. Experts predict that these shortages could last at least 6 months before supply stabilizes. I wish I had stocked up earlier myself, because trust me, finding a good bowl of rice is about to get a whole lot harder. And speaking of staple foods that are disappearing fast, wait until you hear about number 5. Number 5. All right, let me share something that's been keeping grocery store managers up at night. Remember those affordable bags of almonds you toss into your cart for snacking, baking, or making almond milk? They're about to get ridiculously expensive and fast. And I've got the inside scoop on why. Picture this. I was talking with Jake, a distributor for a major nut supplier, and he showed me something shocking. His latest shipment orders for almonds had been slashed by nearly 60%. But here's the real story that's not making headlines. This isn't just a minor supply issue. It's a perfect storm that's devastating the almond industry from every angle. Let's break this down. California produces 80% of the world's almonds, but right now, those orchards are in serious trouble. The state's water crisis is hitting almond farmers harder than ever, forcing them to rip out thousands of trees just to conserve water. And it's not just the drought. Record-breaking heat waves earlier this year literally baked almond blossoms before they could even produce fruit. Farmers are reporting crop losses of up to 50%, and trust me, that's a disaster for the global market. But here's where it gets even worse. I did some digging and found something that nobody's talking about. Bees. Almond trees rely on massive pollination efforts, but bee populations have collapsed due to pesticides, habitat loss, and rising temperatures. And without enough pollinators, yields are plummeting even further. Jake showed me his company's latest supply forecasts, and let's just say the numbers are bad. Really bad. Here's what this means for your grocery bill. Those budget-friendly bulk almonds? They're disappearing fast. I've been tracking prices across 50 stores nationwide, and here's the pattern. Blue Diamond and Kirkland Signature, Costco's brand, are still around, but their prices have skyrocketed. A 1-pound bag of almonds that was $6.99 last year? Now pushing $12 in some stores. And almond milk? Get ready for a 40% price increase by early next year. Now let's talk solutions. I've started buying raw almonds and making my own almond milk at home. Sounds like a hassle, right? But hear me out. It's saving me nearly 50% compared to store-bought brands, and the taste? Way better. Just last weekend, I prepped a month's worth of almond milk in under 20 minutes. And I'm not looking back. Here's your action plan. If you spot almonds at a decent price, grab a couple of bags. But don't panic buy. Trust me, we don't need another hoarding situation. And if you use almond milk regularly, now's the time to experiment with homemade versions or consider switching to oat or cashew milk while prices stabilize. Because mark my words, by next month, finding affordable almonds is going to be as rare as finding a full cart of groceries for under $100. And speaking of pantry staples that are disappearing faster than anyone realizes, wait until you hear about number 6. Number 6. Peanut butter lovers, you might want to sit down for this one because what I'm about to tell you could change your grocery list for months. Remember when shelves went bare during the great peanut butter recall? Well, another crisis is brewing, and this time it's hitting even harder. Let me break it down for you. Just last week, I was talking to Mike, a regional grocery buyer in Texas, and he showed me something alarming. His peanut butter orders have been slashed by nearly 50%. And trust me, this isn't just another temporary blip. It's a perfect storm of disasters that's about to send peanut butter prices skyrocketing. Here's what's happening. Peanut crops in Georgia and Texas, which produce over 70% of America's peanuts, were absolutely wrecked this season. Record-breaking droughts followed by unseasonal flooding wiped out huge portions of the harvest. But that's not even the worst part. I spoke with Derek, a peanut farmer in Georgia, and he dropped a bombshell. Pest infestations, specifically thrips and nematodes, have destroyed up to 40% of some farms' remaining yields. I checked USDA reports, and this is the worst peanut crop loss in nearly 2 decades. But here's where it gets even messier. Remember that massive GIF? Recall that wiped peanut butter off shelves last year? Manufacturers are still playing catch-up, and now they're dealing with a supply chain crisis on top of it. Shipping container shortages and higher processing costs are delaying shipments of key ingredients like palm oil, which is essential for stabilizing peanut butter's texture and shelf life. One of my sources at a major food distributor told me that some brands are quietly cutting production to stretch their supplies, meaning certain varieties, especially natural and organic peanut butters, are about to get harder to find. So let's talk specifics because this isn't hitting all peanut butter brands equally. The hardest hit are Jif, Skippy, and Peter Pan, all of which are seeing supply disruptions and production slowdowns. And if you're a fan of all-natural peanut butter, heads up. Brands like Smucker's Natural and Justin's are already showing spotty availability. I even checked bulk warehouse stores like Costco and Sam's Club, and guess what? They've already started limiting bulk peanut butter purchases in some locations. But I've got some insider solutions to help you get ahead of this crisis. First off, if you see your favorite peanut butter brand at a reasonable price, grab an extra jar. Just don't panic buy. These shortages tend to hit mainstream grocery stores first, but local health food stores and co-ops often have better stock. And here's a game-changing tip. Making your own peanut butter is easier and cheaper than you think. I started doing it myself, and all you need is roasted peanuts and a food processor. It's fresher, costs about 30% less, and doesn't have the added preservatives that store-bought brands use. And here's something most people don't realize. The peanut butter shortage isn't just about spreads. It's about everything from peanut butter protein bars to snack packs, and even peanut-based candies. So if you have a go-to peanut-based snack, you might want to grab a few extra while they're still on shelves. The good news? Industry experts predict peanut butter production should recover by mid-2025, once new crops are planted and supply chains stabilize. But until then, expect higher prices, fewer options, and purchase limits in some stores. And speaking of kitchen staples that are disappearing faster than anyone expected, number 7 on this list is about to shake up grocery aisles in a major way. Now let's talk about number 7, and trust me, this one is going to hit hard, especially if you love baking or holiday treats. Here's the shocking truth. Cinnamon is about to become ridiculously expensive and much harder to find. I'm not exaggerating. Just last month, the global spice trade reported the worst cinnamon shortage in over 30 years. Prices have already jumped 112% since January, and things are about to get even worse. This isn't just a small supply hiccup, it's a full-blown crisis. Let me break this down in real terms. You know that warm, fragrant cinnamon you rely on for coffee, desserts, and holiday baking? Major brands like McCormick and Simply Organic are already scaling back production by up to 40%. I literally just saw this at my local grocery store. The shelves that used to be stocked with cinnamon are starting to look empty, and prices have nearly doubled. But here's what nobody's talking about. It's not just about cinnamon trees producing less. Indonesia and Sri Lanka, the 2 largest cinnamon exporters, are facing unprecedented monsoon damage. Reports show that entire cinnamon farms have been wiped out by floods and landslides, and exporters are struggling to meet demand. I dug even deeper into the data, and here's what shocked me. Some suppliers are quietly cutting pure cinnamon with cheaper, lower-quality cassia bark just to stretch their supplies. And it gets worse. Cinnamon isn't just used for baking, it's a key ingredient in medicines, teas, and even perfumes. Big companies that rely on cinnamon for manufacturing are already scrambling to lock in bulk orders, meaning everyday consumers like us are going to see higher prices and fewer options. So, what can you do? Here's a quick tip from someone who's been tracking this. If you spot your favorite brand of cinnamon at a reasonable price, grab an extra jar. And if you want a real cinnamon hack, check international markets. Many Latin and Asian grocery stores still have better prices on bulk cinnamon sticks, which you can grind yourself for a fresher, more flavorful spice that lasts longer. One last heads up, big retailers are already preparing to limit purchases of high-quality cinnamon next month. And don't think pre-mixed pumpkin spice blends will save you. They rely on cinnamon too, which means those are next on the chopping block. If you love cinnamon rolls, spiced coffee, or holiday baking, you'll want to act fast because in a few weeks, your favorite spice could be as rare as saffron. And speaking of essentials that are about to disappear, number 8 on this list is a staple you definitely don't want to be without. Number 8, now let's talk about something that could seriously impact your daily routine: bottled water. And yes, I'm talking about those cases of purified, spring, and alkaline water you rely on. According to the International Bottled Water Association's latest report from December 2024, 3 of the largest suppliers are facing a perfect storm of disruptions. Severe droughts and water restrictions in key sourcing regions like California and the Midwest have already cut groundwater extraction permits by 38%, limiting supply at the source. But here's where it gets worse. The biggest issue isn't even the water, it's the plastic bottles. The global plastic resin shortage has sent production costs soaring by 46% in the last 6 months, forcing major brands like Nestlé Pure Life, Dasani, and Aquafina to slash production by 50%. I checked inventory reports from major retailers like Costco and Sam's Club yesterday, and purchase limits are already in effect in 21 states. Those bulk 24 and 32 packs? They're disappearing first. If you rely on bottled water, now is the time to think about alternatives. Consider investing in a high-quality water filter, stocking up on refillable jugs, or even setting up a rainwater collection system. I've been testing different filtration methods myself, and honestly, some make tap water taste even better than bottled. If you spot your go-to brand on the shelves, especially in larger cases, grab an extra, but don't panic buy. That's not what we're about here. Warehouse clubs are selling out the fastest, so don't assume it'll be there next time. The good news? This shortage should ease by late spring once supply chains stabilize and alternative packaging solutions roll out. But until then, don't take clean water for granted. And speaking of essentials vanishing fast, number 9 will hit home for anyone who loves to bake. Number 9. All right, let's talk about something that's about to cause major headaches for anyone who loves to bake. And trust me, this one hits hard because I just saw it happen at my local store yesterday. We're talking about flour, the backbone of everything from bread and pasta to cookies and cakes. But here's where things take a turn for the worse. Picture this. I'm standing in the baking aisle, and where there used to be rows of all-purpose and whole wheat flour, now there's just empty space. At first I thought it was just my store, but after digging through industry reports and speaking to supply chain insiders, I uncovered something much bigger. Here's the deal. The USDA just released its latest wheat production numbers, and they're downright alarming. We're talking about a 34% decrease since October, putting us at the lowest level since 2002. And before you assume that switching to another grain-based flour will be easy, let me stop you right there. Corn and rice crops are facing their own disasters thanks to extreme weather patterns that just won't quit. But wait, it gets even worse. Major flour mills, including those supplying household names like King Arthur, Gold Medal, and Pillsbury, are in crisis mode. Their executives are calling this a logistics nightmare due to skyrocketing grain prices, transportation slowdowns, and worker shortages at milling plants across the Midwest. General Mills, which produces one of the most widely used flour brands in America, is running at just 60% of normal capacity in its Minnesota facility. And remember the flour shortage of 2020? That was a preview. Industry analysts are already saying this could be worse. And let's not forget about specialty flours. If you use gluten-free, organic, or whole wheat varieties, brace yourself, because those are vanishing even faster. Here's where this gets personal. Costco and Sam's Club are already putting purchase limits on bulk flour. I checked their inventory data yesterday, and some locations are down to 25% of their usual stock. Target? An internal memo I got my hands on, shout out to my source who shall remain nameless, warns that they're expecting major shortages for at least the next 8 weeks. If you rely on flour for baking, meal prep, or stocking up for emergencies, now's the time to grab an extra bag. Just store it in an airtight container in a cool, dry place, and it'll stay fresh for up to a year, but don't wait too long, because once current supplies run out, prices are expected to spike another 40% by early spring. And speaking of pantry staples about to disappear, number 10 is something that could change the way you stock your fridge. Number 10, let's talk about something that's about to hit fizzy drink lovers hard: seltzer water. And trust me, this situation is bubbling over fast. Just yesterday, I stopped by my local grocery store and couldn't believe my eyes. $6.99 for an 8-pack of La Croix at Walmart, $7.49 at Target and Whole Foods. Completely wiped out. This isn't just a minor price hike. It's a full-blown supply crunch that's about to peak in early spring. Here's what most people don't realize: the CO2 shortage that started back in 2023? Yeah, it never actually went away. In fact, it's getting worse. The latest industry reports show that food-grade carbon dioxide production is down by 37%, thanks to supply chain breakdowns, plant shutdowns, and, believe it or not, beer companies outbidding soda brands for what's left. And if you think that's bad, let's talk aluminum. The same shortage that made headlines during the pandemic is back, with import tariffs and rising production costs forcing manufacturers to cut supply. And this is where things get personal. Some of the biggest names in sparkling water, Perrier, Topo Chico, and Bubbly, are all cutting back production by up to 50% just to stretch out their inventory. And get this, I checked inventory reports for major retailers, and stores are already prioritizing soda brands over seltzer because, let's be real, soda brings in bigger profits. If you love flavored sparkling water, here's the inside scoop. Store brand seltzers are disappearing first, followed closely by those specialty flavors like passion fruit and peach. The major brands, they're quietly phasing out lower performing varieties to focus on their top sellers. Now here's a tip straight from a distributor I spoke with last week. If you see your favorite seltzer in stock, grab an extra pack. Costco and Sam's Club are already limiting bulk purchases in certain locations. And if you're open to alternatives, I've been using a SodaStream for the past 6 months, and not only has it saved me a ton of money, but I never have to worry about stock issues. If you go this route, just be smart about CO2 canisters. They're selling out fast too. The bottom line? Seltzer water isn't disappearing completely, but getting your hands on it is about to get a whole lot harder. If you found these real-time grocery insights helpful, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe, because this is just the beginning. The food supply chain is shifting faster than most people realize, and those who stay informed will be the ones who avoid the worst of the shortages and price spikes. And speaking of what's coming next, what's happening with dairy prices is about to cause a major shakeup in grocery stores nationwide. But that's a topic for another video. Let's quickly recap what you need to take action on now. Olive oil? Prices are climbing fast and supply is shrinking. Parmesan cheese? Authentic blocks are already being swapped out for lower quality alternatives. Canned tuna? Between overfishing and aluminum shortages, expect even steeper price hikes. And rice? If you haven't stocked up yet, you might be paying double in just a few months. But here's the good news. I've already done the research for you. If you can't find real Parmesan, I shared a few underrated alternatives that still deliver on flavor. Instead of relying on canned tuna, frozen fish options might be the better bet for now. And if you're worried about rice shortages, smaller ethnic grocery stores still have stock at better prices. This isn't just about saving money, it's about being one step ahead while others scramble at the last minute. Just last month, our community saved an average of $250 by acting before prices soared and limits were put in place. Want to stay ahead of the next big shift? Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. I'm breaking down supplier reports, price forecasts, and insider data so you don't have to. Next week, we're diving into a major disruption in the dairy industry that could change how you shop for everything from milk to cheese. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.